Hello traders, this is Alex. I am going to do a little study on Solana SOL on the Excel range squaring calculator, and we are going to review this data on this chart basis just a calendar day. Since it trades 24/7, right? This data here, we're taking this low, this high, this low, this high, this low, this high, and this low is, which is a little tricky because we don't know if that's real yet, right? It hasn't proven itself. So that's where we're coming from. We're going to use my Excel range squaring tool that I have sell, and if you're interested, it's on Gumroad, which is a cool site. They actually you can load everything there. People can download it instantly, and they take 10%, right? But that's cool because I used to have a website to sell my stuff. So the Gann lessons have been redone. The squaring of the range calculator is one we're doing now. The master chart, I have several with Square 9. I have several videos on that. Now on the lessons, I have private videos linked through YouTube going through everything a little more detailed here and there. This is what we're going through against Solana. So these buttons are all preset, right? You can click them up, down, high, low. Whoop, 0, 1 you don't want. But I've already got the cheat sheet set here. I'm just going to copy, paste. We're starting a new session. You want to make sure you click that. And then you want to, I always kind of go to, now again, we're going to do calendar days only. And we want to square, again, you look at the high date, it's 21, and the low date's before it, right? So it's going up to it. So we're going to square from the low to the high. Now you can go back down. I'm not going to do that in this video. Again, the reason why I do this and all of the, I'm an accumulation guy, right? I want to see accumulation of dates, acceleration, the power flow, the force of multiple things aligning, right? Because again, I've turned into a rat's nibble right on the ass. 4 decimal points. I was a Gann guy, and I got so into it that I had to be exact. Well, I missed a lot of stuff. So I become more in general, and I use a lot of weekly options, monthly options, shorter term stuff, right? Because it allows me to catch the acceleration. Crypto's a little different because, again, a lot of them don't have options. Now, I think a few do through volatility, something or another it's called. I won't get into that. You can search for it yourself. But, again, the downside of this program is I had to make it smaller. I used to go out to infinity, and it took 3 minutes to sort, do the advanced sort. So it only does basically 3 ranges, and you can start here, right? So on this one, let's just get going into it, and then I'll kind of tell you what I'm doing as I do it, in case you don't care about the program. The SOL is, the high was 258, and the date was November 28th and May 11th, right, of 2020. Now, I want January 1 to search from, and this will be important when you're done to make sure you put the date you want in, not January 1, preferably, right, because it'll screw up the program. 2025, 2020, if you're just doing research and don't care about the current. But I care about the current. I always leave this kind of out there ways. 3 years, preferably. Now, again, especially since I know we're not going to even get close to that in some of this data because it just doesn't have enough range in it. Because, again, 250 up and down calendar days, it's less than half a year. So you're going to have some data here, and a lot of it won't go out into the 3-year format. All right, so, again, 1-to-1, squaring calendar days, squaring from the low. We got the date in place. Let's save the inputs. I might have already clicked it. No big deal. Now, we also want to click this. This is the price, right? These up here, it copies that to a folder. And you want to click that only when you change this, right? And then we want to look at the dates. Again, we're doing January 1, and this is fine. Actually works pretty good. But again, since this is January 1, again, it's a bad example. I wanted to prove something different. But if you're doing 2025, you'd have to put like April 1st in here, right? Because then it grabs these and it makes it more specific. And I've got quick links, to January 25, January 24, January 23, and that kind of thing. All right, so we're just actually going to use that right there. That's calendar days. Now let's speed it up once. Let's go to halves, dividing it by 2. And you can see it has a lot of more data. Let me see if we can get it fitting in. There is January. Yeah, it'll go out to January 29th, 2027, and that's it, right? Again, it only grab and sort this data point. So, and that's fine, I guess, for what we're doing. Yeah, it'll give you more data, right? That's what I want. I want more dates. That's our mathematical. It makes sense. So let's begin that sort. Now we're going to the next one. Again, I'm not going to do all the extra bells and whistles. We want to save the inputs. We're scoring from the high, and again, the data range is a little more narrow because of where the pricing from low to high, right, or high to low. And let's just double check. Here's this one, and that is fine with me as well. So we are now going to, again, if I was trying to do 2025, I would have to change this here, right, to pull it. All right, now let's go to the next one. Save inputs. Well, I forgot to, well, I guess I didn't save the previous one. Of course, it's on this range, so again, I've got the folder saved for the pricing structure. I'm a little clunky at doing this because I'm so used to just doing it and actually verbalizing how I do it. Okay, so we got that. Now let's go up here and see where we're at. Again, here is this. Okay, we got this here. Let me double check. January. Yeah, I believe that's fine as well. So we're not having to. Now again, that's going up to 2025, right? Oh, I gotta switch it. That's why. From low to high, it still is in the range. Let's double check, make sure I got calendar. Now in the futures and stuff that don't trade 24/7, I do all these. Now we're just going to do the daily for now. And maybe I'll have to redo this video, but if there's not enough dates to look at. All right, now let's begin search. And now let's go to the next one, which is from high down to the low. The cheat sheets are handy because I didn't think of that. So we're saving the inputs. Now we don't have to save the folder, the pricing, right, because it hasn't changed. And we'll review all the total. Oops, I clicked that. Maybe I shouldn't have. Yeah, I got to redo that. So I'm going to remove this. I didn't mean to click that. I got click happy. So I removed the last entry because, again, I need this. Now let me see. It's going to grab these three. That's not enough data. So we need to slow this down. Let's go to 1:1. All right, we're going to a 2:1 speed. So we're going the other direction because I want 2026, all of it for sure. Right, so now, again, you want to switch this to January 1, right? So it grabs this because, again, January 1's before January 20th, 2025, right? So again, you need to change this speed to grab that, if that makes sense. So we are now going to make sure I got everything clicked right, squaring from high. Okay. Now we are going to go to the next one, which is from the low to the high. From low, squaring calendar only. And yeah, we're going to have to keep this speed, I believe. A 2:1 speed, or 1:2, depending on how you look at it. And we are squaring from the low, correct. Click a couple times, click it, and now we already saved. No, we have not. We're going to save that to the subfolder. We can always remove it, right? If we screw up, no big deal. And now we are going to save the inputs again as my backup, and then begin search. And we got one left to do, I believe, and that is the unquestionable one. You know what? I think I'm going to leave that one out because, again, we don't know if that's the low. And if it isn't the low, the dates won't gel up, right? If the low is 5 months out, as an example, then it won't gel up. All right, so now we got that done. So again, you can see here's our squaring of the price. Here is the data saved. And this is where everything that we just plugged in is located, right? And when you click this button, it'll run all the advanced sort on those 3 lines, right? And it, again, sorts everything out into the future. And oh, dang it, let me redo it because I forgot one step, which is crucial, right? You got to go 2026 and January. Okay, let's run advanced sort. Okay, so you can see just on those dates that we did how much data is pulled up, and that was just doing the calendar only, not the weekly, the monthly, right? So this is just calendar day. And again, I'm looking for those dates of confluence or what I call a void, right, where there's no data points. That's also pretty key and interesting to the market. And again, it won't have a lot of data because again, uh, we're limiting ourselves. Some of these had more, but the program wouldn't spit it out that far because I have limitations on it. So, okay, now I'm going to go through this data and I'm going to plot it on a chart, probably just from January. And now we're going to review it. So I'm going to put you on hold while I plot this on the chart. Okay, I plotted these out, and you can see this was the end of the year low, which is pretty common on all stocks, commodities, cryptos. Not unusual, right? So obviously we broke the downtrend line, and we have pushed it higher than the previous. So again, I am now going to remove this arrow, the down arrow. Again, I consider this pressure, right? Like a water through a river. As it gets narrow in some spots and maybe steeper, it goes a lot faster, right? And then when it's wide, it goes slow, still moving. And of course, that's your dead zones a lot of times you get, especially in the cryptos. Or maybe a pressure ridge on a weather front, right? I don't really trying to pick anything. I'm just looking at the pressure. And of course, the importance is not the current, but where it was at prior, right? So now we knew then that this was up and we're moving on. Oh, of course, I had to move one already. And we have taken that out. So, oops. Now the pressure is down until the next zone. Now it made a new high, but not prior to the next zone, right? So this swing becomes immediately important to the chart because of the zones now on both sides of it, which are logical, right? So we got a couple timings coming up, one right after another. And so now we're comfortable getting rid of these because, again, the pressure is down. This becomes your pivot. And we came into the next zone. To be honest, I don't know why my green arrows got so big. Maybe because I'm a bull. Not really. They're all the same size when I first did it. So, again, you can see this one is important. We have another zone that's kind of in the middle of no man's land, which pummeled the market. So we obviously know that we can take this off. The pressure ridge continues. And actually, this little swing becomes important. So, again, now, as you have a huge profit, you got to know the future, right? And now we're into a little void. So I would be tight. Since I know we haven't had any zones, my stops would be get extremely tight. Now, as you can see, the future here, we got 3 of them coming up. And we knew that, right? Way back here, we knew we had an accumulation zone coming up, and it accelerated down the trend. The pressure is applied. And so what would you do, right? I mean, you have a huge ton of profit. That's a big percentage smash. Let me just see how much it was. Let's just say from this high to this low. That's 17 days. That's 53%. I mean, okay. It's nice to stick with the trend. I don't care. I mean, I would be turning on a 5-minute chart if nothing else, and then bailing, or just get out, right? Once it pummeled like that. And I might have been actually out the day before. Let somebody else have a little bit of the shaft, the wheat, the leftover little bits, right? Because you just made a pretty good lick. We knew he had 3 accumulation. Anyway, here nor there. Let's say you have tons of money and you're following it systematically. So we don't know if this is a high or low yet, right? Just because it closed, had a reversal up, it doesn't mean anything. So you're continuing down. Putrid day after this big reversal. That's a warning bell. Ding, ding, ding. Not to maybe just buy it willy-nilly, right? Because you think you can't go any lower. Well, yeah, I can. Okay, we have our next zone. We had a little void here, right? Again, inside the money swing, or the money bar, I call it. Now, I think you got to consume 2 of these. But that's what I call the money bar. And the market is inside of that. This is all noise. And again, you can see it by the volume, right? Increase, increase. So again, these last 2 are your money swing, dwarfing the other volumes, and probably record, I assume. And so we had a pop here. Still, this one's unknown. I'm not going to take anything off. This one's unknown. This one's unknown probably until we at least take this swing out. Or swing high, right? Now, we had 2 of them coming up. Pretty tight for all this activity, dropping down 50%. And that's a puke. It's just a bad close. It felt bad. It should have had a pop. So now I believe we can take this out, and your pressure ridge is forming, right? The pressure is down. It's been down, right? This the short-term little pop. I can't take these off yet until we comfortably make a new low. And it did reverse, pop up, but nothing yet to determine anything. Now, again, we kind of popped out that high, and we did pop out the money swing. So I am comfortable now getting rid of that, and we are actually going to get rid of these, right? Because, again, you can sense there's a potential bottom, just by looking at it. But, again, these still are pretty valid. until you get a good couple closes above it. It might be just a little blip on the chart. Again, you got to look at the history. Then fizzle, right? And that's been the trend of this market, is how that trades. We had a timing come in, it drizzled back down. Another timing, man, what a dud, you know, just small range after this crap. Another couple, another one, I forgot to mark. And again, avoid. I call this the Scud missile zone, or the balloon. You let air out of the balloon, it just goes every which direction. You have no clue in these voids. Usually volatile, though, and it was. Popped out highs, went back down, actually popped out lows. Unknown right at this point yet, any of this stuff. And so now we are probably comfortable, since it popped out the highs, to get rid of these. And this is your pressure line, right? You can almost draw a trend line from it and probably project something out into the future. Again, sideways though until we really clear this out. Now we have a big zone coming up, 2 of them. You can see it's already cheating a little bit. It's down. So I am comfortable now getting rid of this. And now we have a new pressure ridge forming. We kind of broke this trend. Now this one isn't confirmed yet, so we can't just pull it out willy-nilly. And now I think we can, right? The market is definitely down. And again, the new pressure ridge forming, and that is the trend of the past, right? You get these markets that go drizzle up and then poof. So again, this was all the rally we had after a smash like that. Come on. Your antennas should have been on high alert. Okay, now here's the next zone. Don't know anything about it. Kind of had 2 in a row, kind of made a higher high, but yet still unconfirmed. A drizzler up until we take out this area at least. I can't assume anything. And we know we have accumulation coming up. And again, you probably haven't, if you're short or long, you haven't made any money. You probably lost or chippity chopped to death. But now we can see this. I think I'm comfortable knowing where that closed up there to get rid of the down pressure. And now the pressure's more up. So my guess, the pressure line, you know, we're getting more up pressure than down pressure. So the bulls are trying, right? And the volume kind of shows that peaks of bulls assuming, right, that it's never going to go back down. Can't go any lower. No way. Well, we know that can happen. Now, again, we have no idea about this little crap. Look at that sideways chopper. And, you know, this example on this program is probably not the best because, you know, it's like there's no, the swings are so mild once the big action's over. You know, like probably I could pull up silver or something and do a little better example. But a lot of people trade this, and this is the market you have to deal with. So it's real, right? It's not just picking out the cream of the crop. All right, you can see we had quite a bit of accumulation in here. So this swing became pretty important. This whole area, right, up or down. Now, again, I'm not going to confirm that it's up yet until I see some more data. Until we have some more arrows either in or above or below this zone. And here's our next arrow, and it's right in the middle of no man's land. So this swing high becomes obviously important. And I think this swing low becomes important, right, if you're a shorter term trader. Man, the arrows are getting big all of a sudden. And now we have accumulation zone. So again, we know that this leaning over is probably not good. So now I believe we can take all these out. And this was our Pune Dog rally. Now maybe again at the coiling of the spring, the sleeping giant, right? That kind of mentality is, if you're a buyer only, you're kind of waiting for these coiling sleepers, and you know, accumulation zones. You know, you could have bought it here, and you see the volume, right? That gets your, you know, with that little day and that probably historical volume, by far historical volume. That's it. That means buyers and sellers, right? So you know, the next day was more buyers than sellers. This day was more sellers than buyers, which gives you an idea, and you knew that the accumulation was coming up. Now, if you're a buyer only, you might have picked that. I mean, I'm not nothing wrong with that. That's a dead horse. You got to pick it almost to make anything. And what a putrid back rally with that kind of volume. Anyway, now again, we really can't do anything until it takes this high out, or probably takes this low out, to be honest with you, since it's such a small range. But now we did take it out. So now we can confirm that the pressure is to the upside. And we really need to take that high out. I know it didn't quite do it. Maybe I'm preemptively doing it, but it should take it out. Okay, it did. It's amazing when I go through these, I can't remember. Now you can see the volume too, right? The accumulation of volume, millions, down in this slow area. So whoever dumped it felt freaking pretty sick about this back rally, I guarantee you. Even though it's small on range, percentage-wise, it's still quite large. From, if you bailed at the absolute puke up to this zone, that's almost 10%, right? I mean, that's a pretty good oops trade. All right, so we are unknown. I believe now with that higher push, I am going to take that off. So we show the pressure now building. And again, obviously the money swing still intact. This becomes your pivot because we did take it out by a smidge. So we got it. That's your chop range. You assume you can go down either direction and take either one of those out, especially with volume like this coming into the market. And we did pop. We did take it out, which again makes sense, right? Now, if I'd have bought this down here, And with a little timing, I'm pretty suspect, right? Again, I'm not a believer that this is a bull yet, because again, there's no trend. The trend is sideways. So these pressure lines are mild at best, but we'll let it prove it to us. Again, if you're short-term trading, or you bought this, I might have taken, once this market knocked this low out, I'd have probably been satisfied. Now we really need to get down to here to confirm it on how we're looking at it visually. And this is now taken out. So now we can confirm that high is good. And I'm just going to take that one out since the next bar is down. So again, we are on the move. Typical chop. Right? Took it out, ran the stops. Now since we took it out, guess what? Now this one, for every action is equal but opposite reaction. I believe now we can focus on this one. And down we went. We can confirm these out. The pressure ridge is obvious. It's like a weather front coming in. You can see it, right? Building. You see the clouds and all the bad weathers on the other side of it. And all of this is beyond the bad weather, right? Or that's maybe not a very good example. But now, again, we continue lower. We did know, though, right? We had two of these coming in. So if you happen to sell it up here on whatever method, maybe your stochastic trader or RSI, whatever, and your method, it told you to go short, and it confirmed it by this, right? Well, again, we knew we had two of them coming in, right? Or if you're an hourly guy and you're in there, we knew we had these two on a pump out. You see the volume increase. Again, my instincts are up, and we have taken out this low, right? So the money swings have been violated on either side. To me, the trend is still sideways. I would have been out more than likely, or a stop over this high, or an hourly swing deal or something. Now we don't know yet. Now we had another couple coming in. So we had four of them inside the money swing, or the money bar, I call it. And we'll assume these two because of the volume, right? This consumption. So here are where a lot of the stops are going to be. We have no idea. Neither one is told. Now that range poke got everything cleaned out. So now we can confirm the low is valid with the volume. Down here, kind of showing you everybody puked. The public got bailed, and the wolves are feeding. And here you go, right? So now, whoops, dang it. But knowing how this thing, you get a little pop, get a little vacuum going, and there's a leak in the system somewhere, and the pressure cannot build to the upside. So and now my arrows are getting massive again. So really, I don't know anything here, right? I'm not going to move any of these until I see a swing low or a swing high made. And we did take it out, I believe. No, not quite. Now we did. So now we can blow these out and confirm that low even more. And obviously stops are here. Really don't want to push them that close to the low. You put them underneath the low unless you're quick trading. Now we had accumulation up here. Volume is minor. You can see that that's a pretty good poke, maybe a 50% retracement or 62 or something, right? So you're in the zone. You might have traded out of it if you're guessing a little bit, or you wait, right? And of course, that puke down probably would have knocked me out no matter what I would have thought. If I'd have guessed and got out, I would have been comfortable. Or a stop, right? Probably underneath this low or something, and it would have got me either way. Okay, now we're into a couple zones. And to me, now the pressure has been now building back, and these green arrows seem a little heavy, knowing how it trades, right? History proves. We've got a couple more binging, banging. It looks like we made a new low, so I am getting rid of these. And unknown yet on these. Still unknown. Made another new low. What a creeper. Holy crap buckets. Bail these out, bail these out. And this one I can get out. Trying to see if there's okay, we're into a little void, the old Scud missile. So again, just a creeper down, really no sense of it. Inside, we got about halfway back, I'm assuming. Oh, let me just look. Yeah, there's halfway. There's your. So we're just above, probably got 62%, which is a good fib number. So again, unknown, just a tricky trade. It's not. Now we're into current. Today's August 6th. It's about 10:58 in the morning on Thursday at 2026. So this is the current zone, and I really can't take any of these off. We don't know, but again, the long-term pressure, if you just count them up, right? The pressure's down. And the volume that we had in this was where a lot of the business was done, bad or good. And it went back and covered all that up, which makes sense a little bit. And that's why you get retracements, right? That's where a lot of business is done. That's retracing back up, see if there's anything else to get. And now the pressure's back down. So we need a cleanser on this market. Now let's, I'm going to finish. I'm going to delete all these. So hang on with me 1 second. It'll take me a bit. Okay, we are fresh. I got everything cleaned off of there. Since I'm doing this for myself, right? I've never traded Solana. I don't know. 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 I've never And that's why I'm doing this video, because I'm actually doing it for myself. And if people want to watch it, fine. But this is the next step I do. I like to do, again, Gann's, according to his writings, his best research tool that he ever come up with was a 50%. Well, I don't believe that was 50% retracement, right? That's no big whoop. That's not nothing new. But I think it's 50% target, right? So, and we're going to go through that here. Now, on this example, let me spread it out. We're going to use this previous high back in 2025, that old high up there. And let me grab a pointer I can use. Wow, that's so big. Okay, this arrow will represent what I'm pinpointing, right? The market kind of guides you in directions, and that is key to me. Is, as you go down, you go to the 50% retracement, and this is your pointer or the dot at the barrel of your gun to aim, right? It's aiming you. Now there was 50%, I guess, right there. You can barely see it. So again, that would have been your target area, time, and price. Again, range square, right? This was the square. Now we broke the bottom out of it, so if you, and we knew this right back here, and actually you could have taken this pointer, if you're picking, which is tough to pick a bull high like that, right? But there was 50% there based off of this first pointer, right? Which also was this pointer. So it actually worked on both of them, right? So that was your target price. If you'd have guessed this as a bull trap, right, which it was, you could have drawn this in right away. Once this high was in, you could have drawn this in. You knew the target price then, time and price, based off of that, right? So there is your squaring of the range. Now, once we busted it, and if you got out here, leave it alone, right? Call it a win. Now, if you didn't get out for whatever reason, or you're bearish fundamentally, if you're a fundamental person, we kind of use charts as your guide. All right, so then it busted it out. So what's that tell you? Well, then you got to go to the next pointer. These are both already intact, and this one already obviously is going to get knocked through. So we're going to go to this pointer, and 50% is already beyond. So we're going to go to 66%, which is 2/3. Or you could use 62, but it was already beyond that. Let's go to 66%. 0.6, I guess, is the official. That's close enough right there. So we're using this pointer, right? And 66, once it took out the squaring of the first range, right, this one right here, it took that out. And now we're down here in the next square. Now this one hasn't been taken out yet, and we haven't got time and price. Now, the square was busted because of time, not because of price. So if you had an objective in, that's still put in, right? 66, 2/3. You'd have had that objective in. Now you wouldn't have got filled on it on this first square of time, and so the price didn't get busted out, but the time did. So you can add another square. Now if you'd have had that in, you'd have got filled there for sure. And you can see this is the halfway, 3/4. But again, the trend lines become your guide now, right? It kind of gives you, you can kind of look, see, and see if anything gels up. Well, let me. Yeah, you can see the speed. This is a 2x1, 1x2, depending how you do it. And then you can also do the up part, right? Again, here, quarters, eighths. Again, you can see how it kind of confirms stuff. Okay, so let's redo the gun right here. We got now we can do it off the lows as well. Again, the percentages are a little different, right? Up versus down. Let me get rid of the extendo. Oh, we don't need the bar count. Right, 50% up, 50% down are two different numbers. So you got to understand that a little bit. And 100% makes more sense now as your target number. Just because of the math, right? So there's 100% back up, and this is your pointer right here. Now I could have taken this one, I guess, but in either way, right, we broke out of the square. Now, normally I don't draw these squares in because I just can visually see it. So really, I guess it is kind of important in the sense that your time and price, but you'd have had your sell orders in up there, and it would have fell short. And then the time, so you'd have canceled those, right? Because now you're working with a new zone. Now this one, it still fell short. We're actually in a new square. Well, okay, this is where it becomes tricky. This correction all this is out of the square. Let me draw the actual square. Assuming then that we took this as our pointer, you're actually out of the square of time right here, right? So your pointer now changes. You didn't hit your objective. So your next pointer now goes where? Down to here, and you go out 100%. So again, it's the trick is knowing the market is pointing you in the direction. It always does. It always will. It's the mathematics of the market. All right, so there it is, December 5th. It'll square out that range, and there is your new square. Well, again, we were beyond it. Excuse me. We were beyond it here, so our pointer should have been moved up, right, to here, and now we're going to go to 125%, right? The mathematics, you keep bumping it up. This is now our pointer. And obviously we took that out back in here, so now our pointer continues to move up to the next low. And we are going to go to 150%. So there is the pointer. There is your target. And that one confirmed in, right? So you would have got filled up there, and it did break it out. You could continue to run it to the upside, but once it broke, right, again, we were probably thinking a high, more likely. So again, and you also look back at the subsquares, kind of hit this low, kind of hit this low. That's the eighth quarter half, right? Half missed it by a little bit. And again, I usually adjust these so they're closer because again, so this would have been my time and price. Now the price came in before time, and you'd have been out, right? So, but you can see this 50% level kind of important. This was the 3/4% level that was important, and of course, as typical markets do, they clean out the whole works, right? Well, now you go back down. I'm drawing this out a little bit because it's important to understand. The simple concept can really help you. Just remember, the market is telling you where it's going to go. These highs give you something to guide yourself. Now on the way down, we're going to use 50%. From that pivot, first one. All right, that's pretty close. So, well, frick, it ain't either. I got to go over a little bit. Good enough. So again, this is your original pointer, down 50%. The market range, right, took you out. You might have got out of that. Again, nothing wrong with price ahead of time. If you'd have sold it up here somewhere and got out here, that's a good trade, right? Again, you look back. Again, the market's still pointing down. This confirms that maybe there's more to go. So if you didn't get out because you're a bear, or you didn't buy it yet as a bull, then you go down to the next zone, which again, if you're trading the stock indexes, 33 to 50 is your max usually. When you're trading cryptocurrencies, though, I'm afraid it's 75 to 80, 65 to 85. That's a pretty standard deal. So we're going to go down to 66%, and it already blew that out. So we're going to go down to 75 percentile. Again, our new pointer, right? So this is now your squaring of the range. If you stayed in, you're definitely out here. It picked it really close. And if you didn't still want to get out, and you're going down to 85%, that's cool. Again, the people that are in the know, right, know that it's going to be bearish or something. Obviously, this is our new pointer then, and 85 will be right there. So we are actually right on the zone. So this little congestion doesn't seem like much, but based on this pointer, it's pretty freaking key. And if it continues through time, or if it knocks it out in price, then the next one will go to this pointer right here. And oops, something thereabouts. Again, the market is pointing you in the direction. Now, one thing you can always do is do a little parallel view, or you can see that this high and this low do hit up. So there's some mathematics there that do gel. That's pretty good, actually. Kind of missed the poke, but it hit the secondary vent. So again, that price and time are pretty accurate. Let's go back and check. Well, let me just do one other. Let's go through the history a little bit on this, since it matched up pretty well. And it looks like it did pretty well. Kind of picked this low from the high. I didn't extend it forward. No, well, I won't do it. But anyway, you can see it kind of hit that one, so that's good. Let me run it off this low. It kind of hit these two lows, so the parallel is picking that pretty good. Now let's run it back to the other pointer, 85%, and now let's do the parallel work again because both those are active. This one is August 13th, which is the eclipse, the solar eclipse. So that one I want to work because that's what I trade. It didn't quite hit it as good, to be honest with you. Here's the high. It missed the low quite a ways. Really nothing gelled. Maybe that two lows gelled. Gives me some hope. It did hit this high, this low. Not exact, but good enough, right? So that's our ranges. I think you got to assume the future is coming up with the solar eclipse sequence. And of course, then you go out to this pivot. Do it again, so I got it somewhere around there. September 22nd. Now it's the equinox, right? September 23rd, 22nd. I haven't looked officially close enough, right? So that's important as well. So this is interesting, right? This it's a simple thing. It's not, but the market will point you in the direction. And when these quick things happen, you got to have orders in, man. I mean, I'm sorry. Now this one's a little more drawn out, a little more tricky. I would have probably been out here and been waiting for something to confirm the up zone, right, and then redo the whole thing. Now you could actually start. Let's do that. I'm doing this for myself here, and I know I'm dragging it on a little bit, but I'm doing it for myself as well because I'm starting to trade this stuff. Okay. So again, here's your pointer at the end of the gun. We'll go up to the 100%. Now you can go 50 since it's a virgin market here. But we're already beyond the square, right? So again, now you go to the next zone. 50%, we're already beyond that square, right? On time, not price, but on time. So now let's go up to the 100% mark, which I would do on the upside. Yeah, see, it's still out of the square on that one, just confirming it, which I knew it was, but it's close enough. So we are using this high, maybe potentially this high. So you got August 26th, which is close to the lunar eclipse. And if you use that high, which is a little higher, you're talking around September 1, beginning of the month. So, okay, I'm going to sign off. But that's how I do things, right? The power of the squaring of the range is pretty key. It's a great tool. A little more clunky maybe than the master chart because I kept it small. It's really fast, but you got to mechanically go through things a little bit more using the tool here. So, and then once you're done, of course, I already created the sol, and you can copy these in there. These are the cheat sheet that I put in. Again, there's no formulas to worry about. And then you go to the data saved, and you can actually copy these into the sol folder. And then you can go to the advanced listing and copy these in there if you want. Now, again, these are not accurate, right, because there's not enough data. I'll probably just do this so I know that it doesn't have complete data. I'd have to redo that. And again, just paste it in there, right? There's no formulas. And then square. Yeah, we want this data. Right, so then you got everything into this. You can go back and look at it. If you need to add, let's say we make a new low or a new high, right? You can change this and move. You don't have to do all of it, right? Because you could copy and paste this back into, you're copying. You could data saved. You can put it right back in there and start right from there. You can delete whatever you want, right? There's no big deal here. You just don't want to do anything above this 6 high because then and again, I recommend save it as, right? And when you get the program, maybe save it a couple different places. And I will pull out some new. When I do new updates, I will keep them, so you can load them up from Gumroad. Okay, I'm going to sign off. Thanks again. It was a little more drawn out than I wanted, but I think it's important to understand. Again, I did it for myself too. I'm not doing it. I'm kind of greedy on that part. I took more time than I normally would have, explaining it a little more, and actually going through the chart, which was key to me. Right? It gives me confidence. All right, everyone have a profitable year. Alex signing off.